the Director of Graduate Studies at WITS, and what that means is we try and make, my office tries and makes your life at WITS a little bit easier, okay? So we offer workshops like this for you so that you can hopefully gain from them. You know, I can just give you an example. I had a meeting with a student this morning from the Faculty of Humanities, and this is now September, the end of September, and she's been registered since February. And she's sitting in my chair and she says, the reason why I came to speak to you is because I'm having difficulty writing my literature review. So I said to her, well, what have you tried? And she said, no, I haven't tried very much. I said, have you spoken to your supervisor? Yes, but my supervisor wasn't very helpful. I said, have you gone on to Google Scholar and used the search engine to look for that topic? No, I don't know what that is. I said, have you been to the research librarians and they can help you search for keywords? She said, no. I said, have you come to the courses I offer? I do 4 a year on how to run a research proposal. She said, no. I said, well, don't you think you should write these ideas down? So she says, I didn't bring anything. And I'm still trying to stay calm. And then she says, okay, well then just lend me pen and paper. So I lend me pen and paper. And then she says, can you start again and get me all of them? And I'm like, no! I said, yes, have you tried? So the reason I tell you this long story is we do lots of things, okay? And you guys should take advantage of. So one of the things we offer is this postgraduate symposium, and we have it in October of every year. And the reason why we have it is to give you an opportunity in what's called a safe space, okay, for you to make a formal presentation, either as a poster or as an oral presentation, okay. The reason why I say it's a safe space is it's a learning opportunity for you. So you can get positive feedback, you can get negative feedback, okay? But if you are chosen to go and present at a national symposium or at an international symposium, that's not a safe space for you, okay? It's a competitive space. Whereas at WITS, it's your safe space to learn. So that's the real purpose, is to give you an opportunity to talk in an environment that's supportive and to tell people about your results. The second thing is, it's also an opportunity for you to learn professional behavior. Okay, so when you go to a symposium, it doesn't matter if it's ours in October or a national one or international one, behavior at a symposium is very important. And the reason for that is you need to develop your identity for the profession that you are now going to serve once you graduate. Okay, what does that mean? You need to behave like a professional in that discipline. So you don't come, say you're a lawyer or you're a medical specialist, and you're a medical specialist and you arrive at the person's bedside and your shirt is unbuttoned and you've only got one shoe on and you forgot to pull up your fly, and you go, hello, what patient are you? No, I don't know you. Hello, are you my patient? Oh no, you're male, you can't be my patient. You must be my patient. You wouldn't have a lot of faith in me, yeah? No, okay. So coming to a conference is professional behavior. What does it mean? It means you sit in the audience, you listen and you learn from other people, and you ask them positive questions about their work, just like you would like feedback about your own work. Okay, so you don't just put up your poster and go away and hope someone is going to read it. Okay, You must mingle with the people around you. You must read their work, you must share with them, and then you must also attend the oral sessions. Okay, so it's about giving you an opportunity. It's about you developing a professional identity in your discipline. And the third thing is, you never know who's in the audience. Okay, doesn't matter if it's a poster audience or an oral audience. I have no idea who you are. Okay, maybe that gentleman there in the purple shirt, he might actually be a talent scout for IBM. And he was sent to the symposium to listen to all the talks in the field of computer science, mathematics, information technology, or whatever. And he's going to look, listen, look at your behavior, look at your knowledge, and he's going to approach you afterwards and he says, do you need your fees paid for next year? Do you want to come and work at my office? Okay. So you never know who's there. So you always have to assume that there are people in the audience that are influential and could influence your career. Okay, and it's not on occasion. It really happens frequently. An example of, we had 2 years ago, there was a chemical engineering student was presenting a talk on very particular kind of transformed metals he was making. And he was working out when you bang two metals together, how much energy do you have to bang them together with in order to make them essentially stick to each other. Okay? So that was his simplistic, or my simplistic way of explaining. And he put forward all these results. And then he said, okay, this is what I found for my PhD, and I can't publish it yet, and I can't patent it because my mathematics is not very good, or is not good enough to be able to calculate in a predictive way the energy of collision. Okay, you could only do it experimentally. And one of the audience members, during question time, he was so excited, he kept sitting like this. And eventually the chairperson said, you know, what would you like to say? And this guy said, I know how to do the sums. And he jumped up and he started writing x squared plus bx squared, da, 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 da. 3 weeks later, they got the publication accepted and the patent launched. Okay, and he was just lucky that there was the right man in the right audience on that day. Okay, so that's why we have this symposium. There's good opportunity. So what does that mean for you? You have now the opportunity to present a poster. And as I always try and share with people, if you are given an opportunity, assume that you will only be given one opportunity in life. Okay, that's the pessimistic way of taking it. So don't waste it. Do everything you possibly can for that opportunity. Now you know you're going to be giving a poster in October. You know that's about 6 weeks away from now. So you must plan your time to have enough time to prepare a nice poster. Because if you do it the night before, you won't be confident. Okay, you need to be confident about your work. And so when you prepare a poster, okay, there's two things about a poster that are critical. It must have appeal. In other words, people must want to read it. It's got to pull somebody to your poster. Okay, it works the opposite way for an oral presentation. There the person is in the front, there the audience sits. Okay, but for a poster, you have to bring the audience to your poster. Okay, so it's got to have appeal. It can't be 4 pieces of white paper stuck up like this. You don't pinch a piece of cardboard from an indigent person and you put up 4 pieces of white paper that you've written on at midnight. the night before in illegible handwriting, and that's your poster. Not very appealing. Okay, no one will go and read that. So, it's got to have appeal, and the second thing is it's got to have evidence that's convincing. You've got to convince somebody that the work that you're doing is worth sharing, and that person must take the time to share it with you. Okay? It can't be trivial. It can't be something like, my master's project was to calculate how many chairs in the auditorium were turned up and how many chairs were turned down. Are you interested? No, why? Because it's going to change tomorrow. Okay. If you wanted to know, for example, like a lot of car manufacturing companies want to know, and they do student projects, what color cars do young people at university buy? Come on, take a guess. You've seen the parking lots adverts. What color cars do young people buy? Red, well done. Okay, red is the most common color car that people buy. Why? Makes them look strong and big and forceful, okay, and powerful. What color car has the highest insurance premium? Yes. Black and red. Okay, you can't see black cars easily, and red cars because they're owned by younger people. Okay, so the reason why I give you that example, if you said out here we're doing a survey on the color of cars, they'd say, so what? Okay, but why? It's got an economic spin-off. Okay, there's all sorts of interesting spin-offs about paint and stretchiness and all sorts of things. Alright, so it's got to be appealing. And it's got to have evidence that people want to know about and remember. Okay, so just as a little tip, I have trained myself over all the years that for every single activity that I do, if I give a lecture or if I go to a seminar, if I do whatever, I have to be able, after about an hour or something, that kind of length, 45 minutes, I go away and I write down every day one sentence of what I learned in that lecture. Okay? Because if I waste an hour of my day and I've learned nothing, and I can't even remember what was in that hour, then that hour has gone. Never to come back. Okay, so it doesn't matter if I go to the movies, or if I read a book, or if I watch TV, or if I go to church, or whatever. I always summarize what my take-home message was from that activity. So you want to have in your poster the evidence which allows somebody to be able to summarize or to think about what you said so that they take the message away. Okay, so there's really only three things you have to do. You have to make sure somebody wants to come to your poster. You have to make sure the story you're telling is convincing. And you have to make sure that somebody remembers one thing about your poster. And it mustn't be that student didn't know what they were doing. Okay? They must be of convincing evidence. So it depends on what stage of your work you're at. Okay, if you're right at the beginning of your dissertation or your research report or your thesis, then you concentrate more on convincing your audience that the methods that you are using will give you the results that you anticipate. Okay, if you're more advanced in your work, you've been doing it for a year, you've been doing it for 2 years or 3 years, then you are able to tell the whole story, and you place more emphasis on the evidence. Okay, got it, right. So don't worry about the fact that you're only at the beginning of your research or you haven't done a lot yet, okay? Most of you, if you're master's students, you should be half finished already, okay? Remember, you only here for 2 years. If you're a PhD student, you should be a third of the way through. So it's unusual at this time of the year, in October, for you to have no work, okay? So, appeal and evidence, and where the emphasis is on that. So how do you make your poster appealing? All right? You start with a title that attracts attention. Okay. It doesn't have to be the same title that you submitted as the title for your abstract. Okay? It can't be completely different. If your research is on understanding the number of different colored cars on campus every day, the title of your poster can't be sugar-coated Smarties. Alright? So it's got to be related, but it doesn't have to be the same, because often titles are very long. People try and say everything they want to in a title. Keep it short, and you can be provocative. Okay? You can say something brave, like, I think Zuma should pay back the money! Exclamation mark. Okay? But then the project must be about social grants, development, and rural livelihoods or something. Okay? Or you can be questioning and say something like, will Eskom ever be able to meet South Africa's energy needs? Question mark. So you can ask a question, you can make an outrageous statement, okay? Political parties are only in it for their own gain! Exclamation. Alright, then that's the first way of attracting people in. In terms of dimensions and font size, that's all on the web. Okay, just go and have a look on our website and it will tell you how big the poster is and what the font size should be, so it's easily readable. Okay, so have a good title and then have the names of the people that you're working with, your co-supervisors or your sponsor or whoever's appropriate, indicated there. Okay, if you want, you can have the logo of the university, you can have the logo of your school, you can have the logo of your sponsor. You know, it depends on the nature of your work. If it's sponsored, for example, by the Department of Science and Technology, they require that you put their logo on your posters. Carnegie Foundation require the same thing. Okay, so be aware of that and don't break those rules. Then, in order to be appealing, you can choose different ways. You can decide that you are going to use color. Okay, you may want to decide, I'm going to put everything that's important, I'm going to write it out nice and big, and I'm going to put a piece of yellow paper there, and a piece of yellow paper there, and on it I'm going to put some words, not too many, and I want people to understand my color code. This is in yellow, this is in yellow. If all the people do when they pass my poster is read top left, why am I doing this study? I am doing this study because 1, 2. This study involves 1, 2. This study found 1, 2. Alright, so you've color coded the most important parts of your poster that you want somebody to read. Okay, don't make it all fancy, don't make it like shaded bricks of yellow that blend up into the top right hand corner or something. Keep it bold and simple and color coded if you want people, say, just to read this bit and that bit. Okay? Now, because we are, the way we write, okay, where do we start writing on the page? What about? Top left or bottom left? Top left. Okay. Because we're not, we're not Japanese, we write left to right. Okay. So if you want somebody to start reading your poster, you usually start with it here and you end with your message there. Alright. You don't have to stick to that convention. You'll notice the banks don't. When you go onto banking websites, I've done a lot of work with banking websites, you log on, okay, usually on the left side of the page. Where do you log off? Top right. They've standardized it across the banking industries in the world so that everybody gets into the habit of logging off top right. Okay, there was a whole lot of interesting research that went on about that. So, you must decide, what am I doing? What do I find? Spend a day and a half or whatever sorting that out in your own head and being able to tell your colleague. Okay, what am I doing and what did I find? Okay, so here is a 1-minute interview with this young gentleman here who is a Wits scholar. Please, sir, speak into this microphone and tell me what you are doing.
I'm conducting research on the impact of climate change on tourism in Victoria Falls.
Excellent. He knows exactly what he's doing, and I think everybody here knows what he's doing as well. Impact of climate change, keywords, climate change on tourism, where? Victoria Falls. Got it. He knows exactly. What did you find, sir?
I find that climate change is going to have a negative impact on the activities that people undertake.
Thank you. 2 important things he used there: negative activities and what they undertake, what they actually do there. All right. Why was all that so clear? It's because he didn't say climate change will result in impacts on tourism, which you could have said, but then you didn't know if it was a positive thing or if it was a negative impact. Okay, so what we use often in evidence is what we call words of direction or words of value. Things that tell you it's going to go up, things that tell you things are going to go down or stay the same. So once this gentleman over here could have put on a yellow piece of paper there, this is what he's doing, and then he could tell us a little bit more perhaps about what the negative impact would be. There'll be less rainfall in Angola, so therefore there'll be less water coming over the falls, so therefore the duration of tourism activity will be for fewer months, only June and July, instead of June through to October. Okay, and we know what the negative impacts are. So you can use color. What else can you use to give it a appeal? You can use pictures, right? You can use pictures. What else can you use? Do posters have to be flat? One dimension. You usually think of them in one dimension, but you can make a poster interactive. Okay? Depends how much time and energy you want to put into it. So you can make a poster, for example, here, and you could have a sentence here. What am I doing? And there's a button, and it says push here. And you push that button and you've recorded your voice, and it says, I am working on tourism in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. Okay, it's an interactive poster. Now the poster's talking to you. Okay, all of the marketing these days of Japanese products is on sound and smell. You should always try and use 2 of your senses when you're looking into appeal. Okay, so the way they do Japanese marketing these days, like noodles. When they're marketing noodles, they have the smell of cooking noodles coming into the room. Okay, all sorts of things. Like when you go into a shop, you're going to buy bread, you'll buy bread if the shop smells like fresh bread. So you can buy fresh bread gas that you spray into your shop. A florist buys rose blossom smell. So when you walk into the forest, it smells like roses in the garden. Okay, so you can make your poster what we call interactive. And it really depends on how much time and energy. This stuff takes time, takes careful energy, takes practice. Because inevitably it doesn't work the first time. And you have to do your poster many times. You could make a little video and have an iPad playing in your poster. Okay, push the button and you've made a video of maybe a focus group that you've been studying on. Okay? Or you say, no, I'm working on the use of Stone Age tools by Stone Age people. So you have 3 little boxes, okay, tiny boxes like baby matchboxes, say double the size of matchboxes, that you stick onto your poster. And in it, you have feathers and bow and arrows and little stone tools, and then people come and they pick one out and they say, oh, that's interesting, and then you say, yes, that's a hand axe or whatever. Okay, so you can make your poster interactive. You can put a target on it like this as a wheel, and you can get people to spin that wheel and see what outcome you have. Positive impact, negative impact, it rains more, it rains less, more tourists, less tourists. Okay, it doesn't just have to be text. Text is easiest. If you're going to use text, keep it short. Okay? If you use text and color, then at least you are appealing to more than just the reading sense. Okay, so you've got to have a start, and you've got to have a take-home message. Alright? Those are the 2 key parts. The rest of it, if you want to have something that you would normally call materials and methods, okay? Which is how you did your research, where you did your research, and how often you did your research. Did you do it over 2 seasons? Did you do it in the summer and the winter? Did you do it with children who are 5 years old? Did you do it with children who are 15 years old? Did you do it with the elderly, etc.? Okay, sample size, all that sort of stuff. So in here, it's best done with photos or drawings, illustrations, and a very few words of text. So you would have a picture, maybe of the school you're working in, a picture of the elderly in an old age home you're interviewing, a picture of the stock exchange prices which you're studying gold trends, okay? A picture of something, picture of the instrument you're using to weigh out your gold samples, okay, whatever. So photos and illustrations are the best way to do the methodology. Do not write long sentences. You do not want an analysis. I collected the samples at 5 different schools. I went on a Monday morning, a Tuesday afternoon, a Wednesday morning, a Thursday afternoon, went for 5 weeks, over 3 months, in the following years, So 5 schools, sample chronologically, 3 years in the summer. Okay. Short and precise. That's what you want in your materials and methods, and it's much easier if you do it like that. Okay. Then the results. So, in the results section, this is where you are convincing people that your work is worthy. It's your evidence. Okay? In a poster, what are the normal ways of presenting results? Graphs, good. Sorry? Pie charts. Tables. What else? Micrographs. If you look on microscopy person. Maps. Demographic data. Remote sensing images. Okay, all those kinds of things. You don't want to choose all your data because it's too much. You must choose the 3 most important parts of your study, the data. No more than 3. Okay? And you must choose the best way to get that data across to your audience. Okay? So, say you decide you're going to use a graph, you're going to use a pie chart, with different colors in, and you're going to use a map of South Africa in this copy. Okay? So you're going to show that you've got that information, you've got that information, you've got that information. You must present the information in the order that it logically follows. Okay? Don't jump around all over the place. Present the order in the logical order, and then you have to tell the reader what that data says. What's the message from the data? And you must be very careful when you're writing up your thesis as well to do that specifically. You cannot hope that the reader will understand your work as well as you do, and you also don't want the reader to come away with an impression that's wrong. They misinterpret your data. So, if you've decided to have a line diagram, a graph, and maybe you've got time on this axis, and you've got number of rural livelihoods or something, so rural stations on this axis, you have to write no more than 2 sentences about what is this showing you. Okay, you interpret your data. And you don't do it in a trivial way. You don't say, let's for example, you use blue, and this is yellow, to draw your lines. You don't say the blue line was higher than the yellow line. Okay. Your reader will see that. They won't take the wrong message away. Okay? You use these 2 points you're going to make to include a discussion of your data. Because if you just write a big block of discussion, words, no one's going to read it. Okay? If somebody looks at this one and they say, oh, this top line, okay? The number of rural households increased in the Limpopo province higher than in the Mpumalanga province because of the migrants coming from Mozambique. Okay, whatever. So you're telling the person what those data mean. So decide your 3 most important bits of data, illustrate it, interpret and discuss it in each case. So if somebody is really interested in your poster, they'll read this and they'll read that. Then, for example, they were really interested in how you did the study, they'll read your methods. And you might want to put that on a different color backing. That might be orange or something, okay? To make it stand out from those 2 yellow blocks. So you put that on orange, and then you may want to put this on green, something like that. So they know that that's just the result. If I only wanted to learn how this person did, the methods, because I want to do a comparative study, they'll only go to the orange block. If they really want to see how you've presented your results, they'll only read the red block. Okay, whatever. Alright, so try and organize it in some kind of color code. Try and incorporate your results with your discussion. So that means, actually on your poster, all you need is some text here at the beginning, your take-home message, which you can call your conclusion, the end, the finale, the grand finale, whatever. There, how you did the work, and what you found. That's all you need. You don't need a block of text on discussion. You don't need references. Okay? That's it. If you have only done the literature review and you haven't started the study at all, you then may expand on this section, literature review and the methodology, but you must still include at least a sketch of what you expect to find. Because even if you haven't done the study, you should have an idea what you're going to find. Because if you don't, I don't know how you design the experiment. Okay, so sketch this out and say, call it a table of anticipated data or potential numbers, statistics around the study that I'm doing. Okay. But make it clear that you haven't done this work yet, but this is what you expect. And it's not prejudicial, okay? It's the way you do, you generate new knowledge. Is you expect something, and then you find it's the same, you confirm it, or you reject it as it's well. Okay, so essentially, that's what a poster should look like. All right. Do you want to ask some more specific questions? Yes.
Do we need acknowledgement in the poster?
Sorry?
Acknowledgement. Do we need that in the poster?
The acknowledgements you can, if it's somebody important, like your supervisor, then that you've written them as a co-author of the paper, then they go here, okay? If they are other people, like your donor, you can put it in very small bottom right-hand corner, okay? But don't acknowledge the cat who kept you comfortable at night and made you sleep nicely, okay? Because you need to be sensible about it, okay? Yes?
On the bottom,
Yeah.
when at the beginning you say that when we put into color what are we doing and what did we find?
Yeah.
What is the difference between the results that we got?
Sorry, I don't understand your question.
Okay, on the part that we have to put colors,
Yeah.
is it the result or just what we are doing and what we find?
You always color code things that match, that go together. Okay. So you can choose the same color for the beginning and the end. Because you're telling somebody, this is the beginning. If you want to find the end, go to the same color. Alright. If you don't want to do that, you can do any colors you want. You can do it in shades of pink. Light pink, medium pink, dark pink, very dark pink. Doesn't matter, okay? You can use color as a coding, but you can also just use it for appeal. Yeah, yeah.
Can the material and method fall under
The materials and methods.
yeah, rather than having it as for the particular
What you can do, if you want, you can say, you use a method. You can make longer blocks like this, for example. You could say, I used a method and described the method or put a photo. This method gave me this result. This is what it means. This method gave me this result. This is what it means. This method gave me this result. This is what it means. Okay, you don't have to separate them like that as long as the information is there. You've got to tell someone how to do it.
Just to confirm, you said you don't have to have references?
No, references are not necessary in a poster, okay? They are necessary in a written paper for publication, okay? If you are only at the literature review stage of your project, and especially if you are in something that is literature heavy, okay, like the history and appreciation of art, and you're using two key references because you are comparing the work of Harrison with the work of Kentucky, okay? Those two famous artists that painted in the Midwest and the United States, and you are specifically focusing on those two people. Then you look at those two references into that particular work. Okay. I mean, there's a man in performing arts down here, in ceramics. He makes flying ducks. If you went into a house any time in the sort of, that's a duck, and that's another duck, and that's another duck. Every household in Johannesburg or in South Africa was maybe predominantly white households. You would somewhere in the whole house find 3 little ducks flying on the wall. You remember them? Did your household have ducks in it? Okay? So there's one man doing work on performing arts on why people in South Africa chose ducks as a symbol. Okay? So I've seen these posters that he's presented. They're fantastic. He just made a poster and he made 3 ducks out of that corrugated cardboard. And then just wrote a thing saying, why were 3 ducks on the wall so important to South African identity? Okay, it's really weird. Okay, they don't make them anymore, I don't think, but they make them out of copper, and they make them out of ceramic, and they make them out of all kinds of sorts of things. Okay, so the less, the better. Posters do not need to be cluttered. Okay.
Thank you. And the branding. You have logos, that's logo, the departmental logo and the sponsor. How do you put them in there?
Okay, if you've got 2 logos, they're best to balance them on the top. Okay. If you've got more than 2 logos, it's best to either put them all bottom right, like that.
And do you have a sequence or which one priority?
It would probably the Education Institute WITS would be the first one. Okay, but you may be doing your studies at WITS and Northwest. Then you go WITS, Northwest, sponsored by DST. Okay, so the Educational Institute first, then the sponsor. Okay, NRF. Okay. Right. Anything else? Yeah.
Since our abstracts on some posters, is it necessary to put an abstract? Maybe show your abstract or just a personal that.
You can summarize the abstract. It's unnecessary. Abstracts are usually 200 to 350 words of text. Okay. Nobody on a poster reads more than 12 words of text. That's what the studies show. You've got more than 12 words in a sentence like that. The person will read the beginning of the sentence and they'll skip all the middle and they'll read the last 4 words. Okay. In fact, when you read the newspaper, when you read anything, there's usually no longer than 12 words in the sentence. Okay. Remember that. So, if you want to write an abstract because you think it tells something that the rest of your poster doesn't tell, yes. But actually the abstract is a combination of what you're doing, how you did it, what you found, and your take-home messages. So your abstract should not be necessary. Okay. A bit of wasted space.
So in other words, a poster presentation is an abstract presented in the form of a poster,
You can
more or less.
You can present it like that, but bear in mind that your poster has to be intact and cohesive. It's got to tell the whole story. Because anyone who walks past wants the story. And if you're not there to share the story with them, they must be able to understand your poster completely without having to ask any questions. Okay, and that's also a key difference, thanks for that, between posters and oral presentations. Because in oral presentations, if the audience didn't understand, they can ask you a question. In posters, the poster has to give you a story. Okay.
My second question was a concept diagram. For instance,
Yes.
if the concept,
Yeah.
the abstract is
Yeah.
in form of a diagram.
Yeah, a conceptual diagram is very useful. Okay? It's very useful. Quite often what you find in posters that have conceptual diagrams, they have a title, they have a conceptual diagram, and then they have blocks like this. That this concept gave rise to this data. This concept gave rise to this data, and these together were integrated into a new patent on a radiological technique. Okay, different ways of constructing something. Okay, time to dash off. If you haven't put your name where you have, please do so.